It's 11 a.m. here in Seoul. I'm Oh Soo-young at the Arirang News Center. We're breaking into our regular programming to bring you a live briefing from the South Korean health authorities on the coronavirus outbreak here in the nation. In just a few moments, we're going to cut into the briefing at Daejeon Government Complex with simultaneous interpretation available for you in English. We're going into the briefing room where Yoon Tae-ho, Director General of Public Health Policy, will be sharing the latest figures and updates on the COVID-19 situation in Korea, especially with the sudden spurt of cluster infections that we've been seeing in the capital over in recent weeks. The Director General will tell us the efforts that the government has been making to contain the virus, and also some updates on, of course, the latest figures of the additional cases of COVID-19, as well as unfortunately, the death toll as well. And the authorities have been encouraging us to take social distancing measures. And, it looks like Director General Yoon Tae-ho has taken to the podium, and it looks like the briefing will begin shortly.
Let us now begin our regular briefing for July 17th, Friday. As of today midnight, we have a total of 21 new local infections and 39 new imported cases. The total number of confirmed cases now stands at 13,672, and a total of 919 people are in quarantine undergoing treatment. Yesterday, we had, unfortunately, 2 more fatalities, and the death toll now stands at 293. I extend my deepest condolences to the deceased and the members of the bereaved families. This morning, the KCC held a meeting presided over Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun. We discussed issues of the distancing measures as well as the measures to return South Korean nationals from Iraq. Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun has mentioned that in order to enable the swift return of the South Korean nationals from Iraq, he asked the related ministries to have a swift return of these people who are still living in Iraq, as we did with the South Korean nationals returning from Italy and China's Wuhan city. And he also instructed related ministries to look at measures to address the so-called Corona Blue, which refers to a sense of depression that many face amid the COVID-19 pandemic. During the past week, we did see a decrease in the number of domestic cases, and during this week, it has decreased down to remain at its teens, and the number of the cluster infections is also decreasing, and we are seeing a recovery in the management of our quarantine control. And in region, the number of daily cases in the metropolitan area is also stabilizing to staying at its teens, and in Daejeon City as well, we are seeing a decrease in the number of confirmed cases as well. However, we have seen a sudden rise of the confirmed cases in Gwangju City, and we have to continue to monitor the trend going forward. We need to understand that we will have another spur of the outbreak at a cluster level at any time, so we need to continue to stay vigilant. And as we did now, we need to continue to comply with quarantine measures as we did now. Meanwhile, we are seeing an increase in the number of imported cases from overseas. Recently, our laborers returning from Iraq, and also we have seen an increase in the number of the cases at the vessels that have embarked in the city, the ports across the country, and all of the foreign entrants need to go on mandatory self-quarantine for 2 weeks, either at their own places of residence or a temporary shelter place. And they are also mandated to get tested upon 3 days of arrival. And also, as for all of the Russian-flagged ships that are deemed with an exposure of high risks of the virus, we are conducting special quarantine measures for these vessels starting from June 23. We are also conducting the diagnostic testings for all of the people who are offloading from the ships. And starting from July 13th, all of the sailors that are entering the country through the ports we are mandating them to stay at shelter places at the city of Busan as well. And we need to also address the issue of adjustment of the distancing levels. And starting from a few weeks back, we have managed to roll out another set of distancing measures, and we also uniformed our distancing measures as the social distancing measures, and they were classified into levels 1 to 3. And they have been implemented on a nationwide level. However, if there are discrepancies in the number of confirmed cases by regions, we had the authorities at the local government level to adjust these levels. And with the starting of the increase of the cases in Gwangju City and Jeollanam-do Province on July 2nd and July 6th, respectively, they have increased the level of distancing to level 2. And also with such introduction of the intensified distancing, we have seen a decrease in the foot traffic of the residents there. However, we also have supplemented the reference criteria in order to avoid any confusion. And we will continuously consider the proportion of the confirmed cases, and also we will address these confirmed cases by the 7 metropolitan areas, including, for instance, if there is in the metropolitan area, if the confirmed cases goes over the daily number of 40 for about a week, we will be adjusting these numbers, these levels of social distancing. And also in other provinces, if there is a sudden increase of the number of cases, they will be mandated to increase the level of distancing, considering also comprehensively the number of hospital beds available as well. And as a level 3 of social distancing requires a lot of social cost, the local governments need to consult with the quarantine authorities before intensifying the quarantine social distancing measures to level 3. So going forward, we will continue to monitor the situation and communicate with the local governments. And this weekend, this afternoon, we will have a 7th round of the Live Quarantine Measures Committee meeting, and we will be going over the monitoring of the latest trends of the outbreak, as well as other measures for the future. And we will exert our full efforts in order for our public to enjoy routine daily lives while intensifying quarantine. Next are some measures to return South Korean workers from Iraq. Lately, a lot of the South Korean nationals who are working at the foreign sites of construction sites, they have been returning back to South Korea. They have been confirmed with the COVID-19, or some of them have also lost their lives. So starting from the 5th of July, we have intensified measures to enable safe return of them. And right now, in Iraq, the situation is very severe, and therefore it is very difficult for our South Korean nationals to get tested at Iraq or get treatment. So therefore, the government will make measures and will support so that they can safely return back to South Korea and get tested and treated. And we will also have a special transportation flight to bring them back, as there could be an enhanced risk of infection in the community. And in order to prevent further spread to the infection throughout the community, we will also test every one of them, and they will be mandated to stay at a special shelter place during the next 2 weeks. And we will also prepare any necessary beds at the live treatment centers. And together with this, we will also consult with the local governments as well and these countries to enable the quarantine for these South Korean laborers who are working overseas. And we will also provide remote consulting of medical conditions so that we can also provide medical services to many South Koreans who did not return back to South Korea. Meanwhile, On 3 p.m. today, we will also have a special briefing for foreign correspondents here, and we will brief them of the updates on our measures, and we will make sure that one of the best driving forces behind our successful management of the quarantine measures is thanks to the participation of the public. So we will be making this known to the wider world. And in a battle against the COVID-19, we do not have an effective weapon against this virus more effective than washing of our hands and distancing and wearing of face masks. We have a case where people all were together at the same vehicle for hours. However, they wore face masks, so there were no further inspections. However, there are also risks of the discarding of these face masks, which could also lead to secondary infections, and they need to be tied well after use, and they need to be discarded well to the plastic bags. And we also ask you to wash your hands thoroughly after touching your face masks. And once again, we thank all of the public for your participation, and during the weekend and the summer holidays, we ask you to refrain from gatherings and continue to comply with quarantine measures. Thank you very much.
네, 지금부터 질의응답 시간을 갖겠습니다. 14시 10분 중앙방향.
We just had a live briefing from the South Korean health authorities that are updating us on the COVID-19 situation in the country. We just heard that there were 60 additional infection cases of COVID-19 in South Korea, bringing the accumulated total to 13,672. There were unfortunately 2 additional deaths, bringing the total death toll to 293. Well, that wraps up our coverage of this morning's briefing. Thank you for staying with us, and we'll be back with our regular midday newscast. Bye for now.